polling out today suggests that 47% of Australians believe there should be a royal commission, around 35% neutral or unsure. It's only 17% of Australians who believe there doesn't need to be a royal commission. Surprised they believe that. Dr. Dvir Abramovich is chair of the Anti-Defamation Commission. Dvir, good morning to you. I'm sorry it's not under better circumstances.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Let's just start with what happened yesterday morning in Melbourne. The firebombing of a rabbi's vehicle that simply said Happy Chanukah on top. Was this your worst fear following the Bondi attacks, that these attacks would continue?
Well, I wasn't surprised. First of all, I feel shaken, furious, and the truth is, Shane, I'm exhausted. This is the same anti-Semitism moving forward, looking for another target, and anti-Semitism doesn't come down after blood is spilled. It tests the boundaries again and again and again. And I have to tell you, this may be very difficult for your listeners to hear, but for Jews in Australia and in Melbourne, we feel like we're living as civilians in an undeclared war. We wake up every morning, we scan the horizon. It's not for the weather, it's for the next attack. And this is no way to live. And if we don't fully expose how this escalated, as you keep saying about the Royal Commission, the next attack is already being rehearsed. And I wonder, do we need another slaughter, maybe in St Kilda Beach or elsewhere, for the government, for the Prime Minister to understand that this cannot go on? Because without answers, this country is just counting down to another terrorist attack, to another Bondi.
And Dvir, you make a fair point in that the targeting of the Jewish community. But and I said this after Bondi, this affects everyone. This affects every Australian. It was the Jewish community targeted Bondi, but everyone at Bondi Beach was a target amongst those terrorists. It shook the Bondi community. It shook the Australian community. Whilst this is being targeted at the Jewish community, no one wants to see this happening in Australia. We all feel vulnerable, and we shouldn't. And that is why I think so many people, and there is this big push for a royal commission, because we want to understand how and why is this happening, and what can we do to respond to it to stop it from happening.
Yes, and one of the things that I keep reminding people is that it may begin with the Jews, but it won't end with the Jews, because where anti-Semitism flourishes, every form of hatred and bigotry and racism exists. And as you keep saying, a royal commission isn't about politics. It's a crime scene response. And 15 people were murdered in cold blood. That demands answers under oath. And, for the last 2 years, every warning was given. Every alarm was raised. And what failed wasn't knowledge. It was action. And when you treat anti-Semitism as noise, it learns it can get louder. And when it's not punished, it learns it can escalate. And the nation needs this cleansing. The nation's conscience has to confront what happened over the last 2 years, how governments, it was those two evil men who murdered those innocents in Bondi, but it was state and federal government who created this climate. And the nation's conscience has to look where it has avoided looking for the last 2.5 years. It's going to be painful and messy, but we need not to confront just the past, but also the future. A royal commission is about drawing a line. And you're right, the Prime Minister has a chance to do something more than just respond. He can rebuild the moral center. A commission is not an admission of weakness, Prime Minister. I'm saying it to him now. In a healthy democracy, it's an admission of seriousness. It is the Prime Minister saying, we are willing to examine ourselves with the same intensity that we ask our citizens. And if we don't have a royal commission, I'm concerned. In fact, I think what will happen, you and I, in a few months, we'll have another conversation about another mass murder. And it may be here, Shane. It may be here.
Dvir, when you see acts like that perpetrated last night against your community, again, those who perpetrated that act, and yes, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, but they don't know that the rabbi wasn't just sitting in his car. They don't know what effect that firebomb could have on that car and lighting the house on fire and potentially killing people. The fact that it was undertaken on Christmas obviously shakes the whole community. The fact that it happened to a vehicle that said Happy Chanukah on it clearly shakes the Jewish community and the fact that this anti-Semitism continues, do you think we're almost becoming neutralized to stories such as this?
Well, for the last 2.5 years, we've had weekly rallies in your city and in my city, whereby Jews, Israelis, Zionists, anybody connected to the Jewish community, anybody connected to Israel, was described as evil, as genocidal baby killers, as subhuman, as degenerates, as war criminals. So why is anybody surprised that we now have people who have listened to that incitement and vilification, and they decided that they have a license to kill? This is where we are at the moment in Melbourne and in Australia. There are people walking around our streets who think that it is their mission, God-given, because we also have Islamic, preachers, radical preachers, telling people that it is okay to murder Jews. And, this is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition, what we are seeing. And without having a royal commission, and it's not just about examining what happened in Bondi, it's examining how we've allowed crowds to chant, Jews are evil. There will be another murder. And I've been warning about this for the last 2.5 years, that this will end in blood. And if the Prime Minister doesn't do the moral thing, which is to rebuild this country, because this country at the moment is broken. It's not normal what's happening, Shane. The fact that almost every day another Jew is attacked, and there are hundreds of incidents that haven't been reported. I don't want to be back here talking to you about another 15, 20 Jews who have been murdered, but it may be another community.